welcome to the On CP podcast. We're the podcast for health professionals and the wider community. Look to explore diversities in health, ask some hard questions, and have some honest conversations. My name is Archie. I'm an EP based on cities on the beaches, and joining me as always is allied health business owner Andrew, who is not with me right now. He is with Sam Murphy, the EP, and they are awaiting the recorded in part 2 of this podcast that we will join in a second. First of all, I want to apologise for a microphone error where my mic cut out for a little bit in part 1 of this one. I am not an audio engineer, I'm an EP, and I am sorry. Alright, I'm sorry. I tried to fuck with the microphones and give everyone a wonderful experience, and in doing so, I cut myself off. So that was very silly, and I will endeavour not to do it again. Can't promise anything, but I will endeavour. Anyway, we're going to talk about some fun networking tips from Sam, who was a boss at it, and we're going to have a really good time. So enjoy the podcast and have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Andrew, you got your phone out.
Yep.
To pivot.
We're going to pivot. We're going
to
take a big right turn, because on the top of this list of preparing that I did for today, which involved me walking into this room.
Archie did?
Well, actually, yes, Archie did the preparing.
So
I just
you're
read.
reading a Slack
I'm reading the message that Archie sent.
Sorry, Andrew.
And I
Threw you under the bus.
Yes. There's some feedback. Was coming back to your clinical journey, coming back to Sam, the EP, and Sam's journey towards, I'm going to use the term becoming an expert in
Oh, cool.
cancer.
Yeah.
And that you have, over the past, 6, 12, 18 months, done more and more outreach, done more and more connections, and as a result, you've seen more and more patients going through cancer in your caseload, which has been kind of a deliberate action. How did that happen?
How did that happen? You know what? I was ruminating on this with Archibald, I don't know, a few months ago.
Make it sound like we ruminate.
We do,
and muse a
Archie.
lot.
What are you doing in your mentoring sessions? Just
musing and ruminating.
Musing and ruminating. We do muse a bit, and I like it. I really enjoy the conversations. I was listening to a podcast. This is probably about 2 years ago, and I cannot remember who delivered it, but it was an exercise physiologist in the cancer setting who had moved overseas to work in that setting. And my main takeaway from that podcast was that the best kind of networking or the best way to network in your area of interest is to do a good job, because anybody can approach anyone and tell them that you are good, but genuinely doing a good job is the best possible thing that you can do. And I think as well, Archie touched on it earlier, I really enjoy networking, and I know a lot of people don't, but I find it really interesting. And I think what has been so positive for me is that I go into interactions not with the goal of getting a referral, because things like that aren't actually in your control. So I feel like it's productive to put all the outcomes that aren't 100% in your control aside. So outcomes like getting X amount of referrals in 3 months or whatever, but going to networking opportunities genuinely with the intent of learning from or about the person that you're talking to. And then if you do learn things from or about them, then it's a successful networking experience. And if they are also interested in learning from you, then it's even better. But I think, number one, when it comes to networking, just doing a good job is the most important thing. And then to enjoy the process more, doing it because you are genuinely interested in who you're planning to meet is also the most productive way to network and the most enjoyable, I think. Does that answer your question at all?
It's a great answer to the question.
Yeah. I was lucky that my special interest has been consistent for such a long time as well. I've not been jumping around in special interest areas, which is okay to do, but I have been lucky that I have been consistent and meeting people in the area over while I was studying, doing my honours, and then working as a practitioner. It all kind of adds up.
How long did it take for your caseload to shift more towards the way that you wanted it to look like? Was it like I want to get cancer patients, and then 2 weeks later it was like, oh, there they are?
No. I think it probably took it was quite a sudden switch of a flick of a switch, is the saying. I feel like it probably happened, honestly, in the past 6-ish months, I'd say, if you two would agree. And it feels like it happened quite suddenly, but I wasn't doing anything extra. I described it to Archie as I feel like all the seeds that I've been planting over the past years quite suddenly started bearing fruit at the same time. And it's been very exciting and very cool. And there's still so much to learn, but yeah, so I'd already been in the space for two and a bit years, and then all of a sudden I feel like all the effort's paid off. So you shouldn't expect things to happen quickly at all. And I think that's comes back to the whole embodying type I behaviors in enjoying the networking process and enjoying learning as much as you can and having the best possible outcomes you can with your patients. And the rest honestly happened quite naturally.
And I guess if you went in with a type X personality about it, then you would have been very demotivated because
Absolutely.
nothing really happened as an outcome for a
Correct.
long time.
I think going into a networking opportunity hoping for X number of referrals in X number of months is a very type X approach. So I think the type I approach is better of enjoying the interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have
and
to
you
say.
went into, you did a lot of CPD where you learnt a lot yourself, and then you presented that CPD to the team and lots of internal presentations. You went to a lot of other professionals' presentations and learnt from them and talked to them, and went to the COSA conference, like a big conference where there's a lot of smart cancer people from a lot of different areas in health, and talked to a lot of them and made friends and relationships and went back and forth learning from a lot of people. And this was all happening, independent of like them sending cancer patients to you.
Yes.
It was just happening because you were really passionate about the area and learning more, and doing that for 2 to 3 years, then started to bear fruit a long time later.
Yeah.
Whereas now that tree's like dropping fruit everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's interesting hearing all of that in one go.
But that was a lot of things that you did, right?
Yeah. But I think also I forget about it because I genuinely really enjoyed all of it. And I'm so lucky that I have an area that I am so interested in. But it is a slow process. And that's why it's so important to build and try to maintain that type I mindset, because the type X is not going to be fulfilled quickly.
I think that's a really great point, not just for practitioners, but for business owners as well. Feeling like that, I could just walk down the road to some clinic, doesn't matter who it is, and transactionally then be rewarded for that interaction by receiving 2, 3, 5 referrals. And so the conversation is like, well, who's the person that I need to speak to so that I can get this outcome?
Yeah.
And the way that you put it then about like just enjoying the process, seeing it as your professional development as well as theirs, and not having that as the agenda, rather than like, how can I manipulate a conversation to a way that gets the outcome of me getting referrals from this other person who may or may not refer to me.
Yeah.
I think for both practitioners and for business owners, that's a very good insight that they should take away.
I think it feels quite salesy if you are going in with an agenda, which I know in different industries is very appropriate, and maybe that is your job and that's completely fine, but it just didn't feel natural to me, and this just enjoying the interaction is what's felt natural to me and is now bearing the fruits of the work over the past few years, which has been really interesting.
And I imagine feeling natural to you is very important, because then you come across and your personality comes across rather than the robotic salesperson, Sam.
Yeah.
Which people can read.
Yes.
It's like people can read when you have a hidden agenda.
Correct.
Or you're not being you as a person. And guess what? The not you who's got a hidden agenda probably isn't particularly friendly and interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
so
It's really
probably just be
interesting.
yourself.
Yeah. And people can tell when you genuinely care. Who said this? people don't care how much they know, but they know how much you care. What's that
like
quote?
everyone ever.
Everyone.
Yeah.
No, there was a guy.
Oh, there was a guy.
Oh, I forgot who it was.
probably-
Maya
Oh, I have no
Maya
idea.
Angelou
Oh,
said that.
very good.
Yeah. I used that at my presentation on the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Three separate times.
Nice.
So I can see her face.
Why are you booing? It's golden, Archie.
Oh, it's
It is
just like
wonderful.
I like it.
It's
Google
very
I'm on
best
your side,
quotes for
Andrew.
start of presentation
wonderful.
or end of presentation. That one.
We'll,
On any amount
we'll put
of
that for client journey.
on-
We'll put
yeah.
that for
Yes.
team bonding.
any
we'll put it-
amount of like nice
use that.
backgrounds you want to put on a PowerPoint.
Archibald,
What do you want?
I have a
You're
question
gonna have
for
all.
you.
Oh, go on.
I want to know about your networking experience and how networking has been for you, because I feel like both you and I quite enjoy it. We're not the only ones here that enjoy it, but do you enjoy it too, Andrew?
I learned to enjoy it.
Okay, so no. No, has learned
learned to
to. Yeah. What about you, Archie?
The mindset that I used was very similar to you in that I just went in looking to almost make friends or just meet people
Yeah.
who have similar interests to me, just so I can learn things that they do. Like meeting chiropractors, I find what they do fascinating because I know so little about
Yeah.
what they do and how they actually do it. And I'd have no hope in doing what they do because like it's so neurological and they're reading the body in a completely different way. And I find it fascinating. So it's very easy for me to go and talk to a chiro and be fascinated by what they do
Yeah.
because I actually have a lot of questions for them and I'm really, really interested about it. So I guess the thing to take away there would be that, you know, networking with people who you're actually interested in talking to would be very, very helpful. So go and talking to people that you actually want to learn from, who you actually have questions for. And if you don't, then think of some questions or then find out what they do know a lot about so that you can ask them about it because you'll probably learn a bit. If you go in there and you come out and if you learned something, that's great. And then go back to them with some follow-up questions and ask them some more questions. I know when people come and talk to me and they go, great, can I send you some questions later? No one's ever said no to that question, right? Like Sam, someone came and wanted to meet you from the healthcare industry and they talked and they were really interested in what you were doing as an EP and they go, hey, can I go back and then can I send you some more questions that I have about EP?
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Like, fuck, go for
Yeah.
it. That's so awesome. Like, you want to know more about what I do? For sure. Absolutely. Like, there's no way you would ever say no to that. So I think that's probably the main thing there.
You know what else I know a lot of colleagues here have found really helpful in, I don't know if networking is the right word in this sense. I guess just being a good health practitioner in your special interest area, broadly, you should be doing this for everyone, but also with patient consent, of course, is particularly productive in your special interest area, is keeping a patient's healthcare team in the loop with who you are and what you're doing. Because if you have a special interest area and more of your caseload is that condition, your name is going to become recognized over time. And I think that's a really good thing.
Absolutely.
With the patient's consent, of course.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a thing. I think a couple points from the last couple minutes is that one, keeping the whole healthcare team in the loop and not going, yes, someone who I'm really interested in, I know what I'm doing, this is great. I'll give them these things and I'll kill it. And it's like, no, like put in a really good effort and check in with them and follow up with them and give them 110% of your effort and do the extra effort with their healthcare team and stuff to really do the best job you can, not go, sit on my laurels because I know what works for this person because I know so much about it. It's like, that's the opposite of what you should be doing. You should be putting in extra effort with that person.
Because there's often another health professional that you can work collaboratively with in a patient's care, which is fantastic. And I've seen it a lot in the EP physio space that we can supplement what each other are working on. It's been fantastic. Something Andrew taught all of us is the saying that a rising tide floats all boats. Is that the quote?
Nailed it.
Thank you, everyone. All about helping others. I guess I'm kind of taking a bit of a side quest in this statement that I'm making right now, but talking to other people, and maybe it's another exercise physiologist that they've seen in the past, or someone that on paper may look like, I'm putting quotation marks up now, but like a competitor or someone else with a special interest in your local area who you may think of as a competitor. So Andrew, I guess in the business setting, I'm talking about other EP clinics. And for me, I'm talking about potentially other EPs in our area. But a rising tide floats all boats. And if you all become better, that is good for everyone, whether that's sharing knowledge and working collaboratively in a patient's care or whatever. I don't quite know what point I'm trying to make right now. It's late on a Monday night, but it's important to not gatehold information, and I think try to help others. And I know, Andrew, you do this a lot in the business world, helping a lot of other businesses and not gatekeeping. Hence us talking about all this on our podcast, your podcast.
Yes.
I'm part of this now.
Yes.
Your podcast here is a perfect example of both of you doing this and the importance of that in being a decent company and healthcare professionals. And yeah, you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't even know why we do the podcast, to be honest.
No, it's just...
Yes, you do.
Nice.
You two have a vision. You've told me about
We have
it.
a vision. What's the vision?
I can't remember, but you told me once. Wasn't it essentially just sharing knowledge about health and business?
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds good.
We're living out the vision.
Because a rising tide floats all boats.
That's it.
We'll get a banner.
Yes. Although, fuck every other EP podcast.
Yeah, this shit.
Only listen to our one. Except we give like zero clinical knowledge to
Yeah,
people.
I
So,
don't
you
know.
know, yeah. go to other ones if you want clinical stuff. But everything else,
Yeah.
only listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want ginger beer reviews, then also
Brookie Union, the best one, I
the
said.
best one.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
Anything else on that?
nothing else.
Archie's ready to wrap up.
I was like, nothing else from me on that.
No, that's all from me as well.
Andrew, any other further questions for the jury tonight? Hey, not for the jury, for, I don't know, who do you ask things in court? I don't know.
So for...
Okay.
Yes.
Any
okay.
questions for the jury? I'm like, yeah.
Yep, sure. Let me just pull up my notes.
You don't have to. He wants to.
I'm
He's scratching
formulating.
his beard. All right.
My beard's getting grey. It's
Yeah.
quite sad.
Wasn't going to say
I've
anything.
heard this mentioned on the podcast multiple times.
Yeah. Wizened.
You know what, though? Just something that you two are going to hate, particularly Andrew. And I've told you both this privately and you both hated it, so now I'm going to do it publicly as well. But gassing up what you two have done for the culture here, it is very, very special. And everything that we've been talking about today is very nuanced, but what it's done to the culture here is amazing, because I know that everyone who works here really, really loves it, and everyone really enjoys the challenge. And also we have mentors that genuinely care personally and look after us, like Archie and Andrew. And I know that anecdotally, if I'm having a hard time in life, work is where I want to be, and so much effort has gone into that. So I guess it kind of ties up the things that we've been talking about today. The impact is far-reaching, both on how well, I guess, employees perform in the workplace, but also how much purpose and value they have for their work. The impact is quite far-reaching. So I hope you two appreciate the importance of everything you two do and the impact it has on us as
Sitting
employees.
awkward, very
Thea,
silent.
hey, if anyone
Yeah.
could see this right now.
Thank you, Sam. That's a very, very kind thing for you to say.
That's okay. I don't know of two people that hate receiving a compliment more. So
Let's move on.
Anyway, wrapping
Ginger
up.
beer.
That's why we only talk to ourselves.
just insult
Oh,
each
dear.
other
Yeah.
all day.
Did you have another question?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't we wrap it up with
Let's
what
wrap
Sam
it on
just
up.
said then, which was really, really nice. That it was feedback about how great we are, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam, for coming on and telling us
Thank you
about
for
how
having
great we
me.
are.
It's been
We'll
an
just cut the
honor.
rest of it out.
Yeah. If you
10-second podcast.
if you're listening to this, if you would like Sam to come back on for another part, please DM us on the Instagram and we'll consider it.
I'll talk to my agent. You two can talk to my agents.
All right, we'll convene. All right, see you later, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.